Hey, this is Mike Richards from rawmike.richards.com. Thanks for listening and watching some of our best of 2017. Hope you're having a great Christmas, and make sure that you have a happy and safe New Year.
What?
Yeah, okay. So I know. So property of the National Hockey League. Here's the completed comeback, an unassisted goal. Joe Bowen on the call.
Jonathan Taves trying to get around Connor Brown.
Property of the National Hockey League.
And intercepted by Matthews. One man back. Matthews in over the line. Gardner with him. Matthews scores! Holy mackerel! What a shot! Austin Matthews wins the game!
There it is right there. Wow. That was something. Hey, and a lot of people don't know this, eh? That Austin Matthews there, good Kingston boy, eh? It's true and everything like that, eh? He grew up in, like people talk about Arizona. It's not, eh? Grew up in Kingston, just around the corner from Dougie Gilmore. Went to Arizona for a while, I think, school and everything like that, eh? And Mexican mom, eh? Which is nice. Nice, like Saturday night tacos and everything. Then he come back to Kingston. Then he goes over to someplace in Europe no one knows, eh? It's a bit of a secret. They call this the Wonder Years of Matthews, eh? And then he come back, he stayed with Dougie Gilmore, stayed over at his house, they had pillow fights and everything, Jiffy Pop, popcorn and all that, and then he goes to Toronto, and look at that, he's a beauty, eh? What do you think there, roast beef? You're probably hard too, eh? Don't lie. You love him, eh? You probably want to rub him, even though you're shit.
What?
Now, before we get to Rochelle Ryan, and you're going to see that she's well enough known that TMZ Sports, and we'll go to that, Russell. So she walks out of probably her building in New York, but courtesy of TMZ Sports, Warner Brothers, here's Rochelle talking about what else? Her beloved Giants, and she's going to join us in a couple of minutes here.
What do you think about the Giants this season so far?
You know, it feels more like we're 0-5 than 2-3, but we're gonna bounce back.
You feel good? You feel confident in it?
I feel very confident. We got the Ravens next Sunday. We got this.
Well,
we're angry too. And
The,
we're
the
hungry.
big news story is Odell Beckham. Everyone keeps talking about Odell Beckham. His tantrums. Is it problematic for the team? What are your thoughts on the whole Odell Beckham situation?
You know, he's a very emotional player.
And I believe we have her right now as she's talking on her screen. We go to the lovely Rochelle Ryan. Thanks so much for joining us on rawmike.richards.com, Rochelle.
Good morning.
We were just watching you on TMZ do these guys follow you a lot? Is this something that's common for you? Guys just...
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. But you know what? You answered a very interesting question, Rochelle, because people watch Odell Beckham and they think, what is the deal? Is it possible that this guy's off the rails? Are you a fan of Odell Beckham, even though he's on your very beloved New York Giants team?
I mean, how could you not love Odell Beckham? I mean, he's amazing, and there's so much talent in that kid. But you know what, though? He is smart. Everything that's going on now, Odell Beckham saying he wants to be the highest paid player in the league. He knows he's not going to be the highest paid player, but he knew what he was doing by saying that. I think he's a lot smarter than people believe.
Now, Rochelle, I have to tell you this, that my co-host and good friend Dave Bastel, who's sitting beside me, is a Jets fan.
Oh, gosh, I know. He already warned me.
Not really much of an argument this year between Jets and Giants, Rochelle, because the Jets will be picking 1 or 2 overall next year's draft. But let's get more into the Giants thing, because I do actually have a futures bet on them to win the division. I think they might be a better club than the Cowboys this year, and I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you right now. I just love some of the additions. Brandon Marshall is a fantastic addition.
Gosh, me too.
Yeah, and Victor Cruz, he was a nice guy, but I'm sorry, he really wasn't cutting it for you guys. Where do you realistically see this Giants team doing this year as far as the season is concerned?
Gosh, I mean, I I feel like it's a jinx if I put out a prediction before the season starts. That's why, it makes me nervous. But no, I definitely think, we could take over the NFC East. I mean, our defense, nobody can argue how amazing our defense was last year. It was incredible, yeah. And then adding Brandon Marshall and picking up our tight end, Rhett Ellison, Eli hasn't had a tight end, a Grunk style, and I honestly can't even think. I don't even think Eli has had a
No, I don't think
really good,
maybe Mark
solid tight end.
maybe Mark Bavaro, but that was like Phil Simms era, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely not Eli's. Definitely not Eli's. So, yeah, I'm excited for this season.
Now, Rochelle, why a Giants fan? Where does this come from for you? Are you a New York born and raised girl?
I am. I am from, like, I always say southern Canada because I'm from way upstate New York. And I don't know, like, my whole family was Giants fans, so I just kind of, like, followed suit. And, being from New York, sports was such a huge thing. I mean, it was like religion. Like Sundays, we'd all go to my grandmother's house. She'd cook dinner, and we would watch, football.
Well, and so people are probably watching this and listening to this podcast thinking, she knows football. She's talking about going to grandma's house. Yeah, do you know what she does for a living? People
Exactly.
And people go, they can't relate. But the fact is, the bottom line is, it's a business. So in some ways, I think a lot of people in your business, done properly, you're literally just an independent businesswoman. How would you describe it?
And you really are. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, I wear many hats. I mean, I do adult film work, I feature dance, I run and operate my website, like, I do promotions, and I live out here in Vegas, so I do promotions for Sapphires, the strip club that's out here. So, yeah, I'm a very busy gal, and then I'm hands-on. I run all my own social media, which sometimes I feel like that's a part-time job in itself.
That might be a full-time job. I mean, that's just a part of sort of what you have to do. For sure it is, Rochelle. You know what? I'm curious then, if you've been in the business a certain amount of years, then those breaking into the business, do they kind of look at someone like yourself and go, okay, she's got her shit together. I want to be like what she is?
God, I hope not. God, I hope not. Jeez.
But you have this is a full-time, very busy business that you have, and I would think that some of the girls who and they're young wanted to make the most money they can. They might want to look at something like what you're doing and how you're doing it.
You would think they would, but the industry has changed so much, and I see a lot of like the new girls that do come in the business, and they're extremely naive. They're not getting in for the right reasons, and yes, they want to make money, but they're just doing it the wrong ways. And they're young. They're kids. They're like, some of these girls are 18, 19, 20, and we all were idiots at that age. So yeah, once they grow up a little bit, then they kind of like change, and hopefully we'll follow suit.
Rochelle, okay, so you're a big football fan, but you come across as a sports fan, and I'm kind of curious, with Vegas getting that new National Hockey League team, the Golden Knights, are you looking forward to that kind of entering your city as well? Because it's basically the first major franchise to hit Las Vegas. I know the Raiders are going to be there in a couple of years, but
yeah.
How big of a deal are the Golden Knights right now with you being a Las Vegas native?
I mean, I love sports in general, but I mainly follow football. Like, football is my love. But I mean, I would go to a tennis match. I love any sporting activity, and I think it's amazing. It's putting Vegas on the map. Like, you would never think Vegas being a sports city, but this is putting us on the map. And the Golden Knights, they're going to be a world recognized brand because people are going to come here from from Canada, from China, from Montana, from all over, and they're going to be buying, Vegas Golden Knights, like, memorabilia, the T-shirts, the hats. They're going to be taking it home and wearing it. It's amazing, and so I'm really excited. I mean, I don't really plan on following this sport that much, but I do see myself going to a few games.
Rochelle, here's what I love: out of China, Canada, and Montana finished third. Montana finished third in that conversation.
I was trying to think of like random places. I was like the most random ones.
Oh, that's awesome. It's funny. When we sit there and you talk about the adult movie industry, there's not a guy not listening who not only has their favorite, and probably has rented several movies. Now you don't even have to do that. Now you're clicking on it. In terms of its monies and the way that the business goes now, Rochelle, is it better or worse? So if we're talking about maybe the 80s and all of a sudden everyone has VCRs and then you're buying DVDs and rental was a big part of it. Now that it's computerized and there's that much, I would guess that much more money, are the companies better or worse for it? How do you find the industry itself?
It's kind of like that's a tough question, because when I first got in the business in 2006, there was none of the free porn like tube sites.
Right.
So, I mean, and for a female, I mean, I was shooting 20, 30 times a month, which is that's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. And you were making a lot of money, and that's all you were doing was shooting. I mean, I remember having to call my agent, and I was like, I need a day off. I have to go get my nails done. Like, I need a girl's day, and then kind of right around like 2009, a lot of the tube sites, popped up, and it pretty much just killed the industry. Like a lot of companies that I used to shoot for, a lot of them just went out of business. And now it's kind of like, those girls, they may be shooting 5 to 10 times a month, depending on, what your availability and such was. I kind of like it now a little bit because I like having my hands, in a lot of different pots. So, now it's like you get to go on the road and you get to feature dance, you get to meet your fans, and you get to run and operate your own website. You still can also shoot porn, but you could do so many other different things, which, I mean, I personally like, but, not all girls in the industry feature dance. So that's probably hit their pocket a little bit, and they have to find other avenues to make that type of money that they were accustomed to making.
Is meeting fans a big part of sort of the industry? Because I always wondered if that was, something that the girls necessarily enjoyed, or was it sort of a necessity of maybe one of the production companies saying, you kind of got to get out there. What's your stance on fans?
I mean, I think it's all kind of like up to, the girl. I mean, we pretty much are our own bosses, unless you're a contract girl and then you have, you're working with a company and they're like, hey, you have to do the AVN shows, you have to do the Exotica shows. I'm like, my own brand is basically what I say. I enjoy meeting with fans as long as they're respectful. I mean, I have had a few times where, I'll have my family in town and I'm out with my mom and my brother, and I'll see them like coming towards me, and I just put my finger up. I'm like, you better think before you come up to me. Even though my family, they know what I do for a living, but it's kind of like, come on now, like I have my 13-year-old brother here, and like my mom and my dad, like, step back a little bit.
Yeah. Do you get that a lot? Do you get a lot of people recognizing you when you're out and about grocery shopping or any of your day-to-day stuff?
Yeah, which kind of surprises me because, running around, like running errands and stuff, like I don't wear any makeup. I mean, like sometimes I'll throw on a hat or something, or, it's crazy to me, and I'll get recognized, but it's like, then when I'm all done up and I do have my makeup on, I don't get recognized as much, and it's crazy to me because obviously when I'm, everything that I'm pretty much putting out on social media and all my movies, I'm wearing makeup and my hair is done. So I had a funny story about, it'll be like a year and a half ago, I got a little French bulldog, and I take him with me on all my dance bookings. So I'm traveling through the airport, and like he wears a little Giants harness, and he has a little Giants dog collar that one of my fans bought me. And so I feel like if anybody was to see me, they would see my dog and immediately be like, oh, that's Rochelle Ryan. So I'm walking through the airport. I think I landed in like Columbus, Ohio, and I see this pack of like young guys. That's kind of like, the age group that I attract. And I'm walking through the airport, and they're like, hey, that's Icon's mom. Like, they didn't even yell, like, that's Rochelle Ryan. Like, they yelled out, that's Icon's mom. And I just, like, turned and looked and just had to laugh. And it was funny because Yeah, I just cracked up with it because, yeah, they definitely didn't yell, "That's Rochelle Ryan." They yelled, "That's Icon's mom."
Well, our technical director, he's 19, Russell, also nicknamed Roast Beef Graham. He's so young looking. He'd be great in some of your movies, I think. The My Mom's So Hot kind of stuff, and I can't believe this happened to me.
Yes.
Oh.
This seems like that's all I shoot. And I'm like, I'm 32 and I'm a dog mom, but whatever works.
Well, hey, look,
I'm like-
I always thought at some point, the way I looked at life, and I still do because I live in a fantasy world, that I thought when I was younger that Chasey Lane would be my wife. This is how I saw the world. So I was afraid to meet her, and I think some people must be intimidated. But you get proposals? Do you get the I love you so much? You must get some of that.
Oh yeah, I definitely do, and it's sweet, and I'll get the can I take you out to dinner when I come to Vegas and stuff, and I'm just like, I feature dance probably 2-3 weekends out of the month, so I'm like, catch me in a city near you, come to the club, and show your love that way.
So what's
I am not going out to dinner with you.
So what's the schedule look like, Rochelle, in the next couple of months? Any Toronto dates coming up or anywhere close?
It's I want to go to Canada so bad because I get so many requests. The problem is it's hard for American girls to go into Canada, and there's ways around it and stuff, but the clubs would have to like print all your promo and stuff like once you got there, and we couldn't travel with any of our merchandise or costumes, and it'd be too much more of a headache than I think what it would really be worth, which is just shame because, God, I would love to go to Canada.
It's funny looking at
mainly because I would fill a suitcase with ketchup chips.
It's what we're known for. I mean,
That's a
people
good
love
idea.
the
That's a
ketchup
good
chips.
idea.
I love ketchup chips.
Well, so does Russell too. So maybe the plot is he comes over to borrow ketchup chips from your kitchen. He's like the next door.
Yeah.
He mows your lawn or something, and next thing you know, broken.
I probably wouldn't be. He would probably have to bring me ketchup chips because I wouldn't be giving them up. They're so damn good.
Okay, guys.
They're so good.
Guys who need to loosen up on the Giants team by a visit to you or something that I think that doesn't Eli sometimes look like he just needs to, I don't know, lose his virginity or whatever's going on out there.
Stop it.
Doesn't he need to see you?
I love Eli. That's the captain of my squad. No. But yes, he does have that silly look on his face that drives me insane. But it's funny? It's like, Peyton, yes, he's retired, but Peyton would, he just seemed like the one where he would just be preparing and just, watching film. And, Eli just seems like he's just got, that dumb luck. Like, he could just go out in the field and just make it happen.
Rochelle, it's been such a pleasure talking to you today. And people are like, "Well, what's that going to be like?" What's it? Well, like a real person. Let's start with that. It's just people. They're people. And boy, what a doll you've been joining us and hearing about. Again, as people, there's a curiosity not only about what you do for a living. As you notice, Dave asked all football questions. I asked all porn questions.
That.
You see, that's just bad cop and worse cop, I think is what that was.
Yes.
But you know what? Thank you so much, and maybe sometime we'll catch up with you again. And you know what? We're thinking of going to Las Vegas too. If we go to Vegas, then because this obviously is on camera. It's a 3-shot camera show. If we do that and you're around, we'd love to have you on the show.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. No, definitely. Absolutely.
Well, you take care. Best of luck to your Giants. And if you want to say anything, parting shots to Dave, because it's not going to be good for Dave's team this year.
And to everybody out there, make sure you follow my social media at Rochelle Ryan. Same with my Instagram, my Snapchat, just all under my name, Rochelle Ryan, Richelle Ryan. We'll be doing lots of feature dancing. I'll actually be in Dallas the weekend of the opening Giants and Cowboys game, and I'll be in Tampa for that game, and Denver for the Broncos and Giants game. So I'm sure you guys will all see me at a game somewhere.
Well, hey, I was also curious too. Do people come up with because of the Seinfeld episode? The Rochelle. Do you get that at all?
Yes.
Well,
it's mainly a lot of the club staff that does that to me.
Oh, I bet they do. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. It's
Thanks,
been
Rochelle.
such a pleasure. You're just wonderful for joining us here on
Thank you so
rawmikerichards.com.
much, you guys.
All right, you take care.
Thank you. Bye, you too.
The Alex Lifeson thing all of a sudden seemingly has crept back up again. And what it was a spoof of the Ryder Cup. Who made the long putt? That crazy long putt? Justin Leonard.
Yeah.
Justin Leonard makes that long putt, and then as soon as he does, girlfriends, I think vagrants, janitors, I don't know, greenskeepers, everyone just runs on the green, and Jose Maria Olazabal is supposed to make a putt. They just decimate his line.
Yes.
No one cares.
No.
They run all over it.
That
And, of course,
was
the Americans win
crazy.
back when the Americans did win.
Yeah.
And that was a big moment. So
That doesn't happen often because since
No,
that time,
no,
the Americans
no.
have done
They do nothing.
nothing.
They do nothing. So we thought it'd be fun at that time. Can Jose Maria Olazabal have a tournament where he can win it all back? So we had a lot of celebrities show up in this thing. A lot of things happened. Even Ron McLean. It was a real fun piece to do, and it looks like a lot of people found it. If you hadn't, and it's on, once again, rawmikeRichards.com. If you go into the archives, you'll be able to see this awesome piece of work.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to sunny La Quinta, California, site of the first ever Jose Maria Olazabal versus the world. Can Olazabal bring back class and dignity to the game? Here's my colleague, Ron McLean.
He'll bring that to the event today, and we're hoping that after some of the trials and tribulations suffered in the Ryder Cup, that he can pull it together and put forth another fantastic effort.
Let's go right to the first tee in Olazabal. And a rough start for the Spaniard.
Karen, you just saw Jose on the last hole. What happened?
You know, I don't know if I want to talk about it. He was really upset. He actually brushed by me, and he was just furious.
Don't blame me, buddy.
And now Olazabal will try to get back on track on a beautiful par 3.
Yeah, he threw his club at me and he went off in the woods that way, spewing Hispanic profanities all the way. It's just something else.
And now Olazabal facing more adversity on 14. Oh my. Olazabal, look at the anger in his face. Oh! Now let's go down to Steve Melnick. Steve?
You have had a brush with Jose?
Yeah, I was in the parking lot. I mean, I've seen him in bad shape, but today he was right out of it. When he pulled in, bumped into the back of my car, got out, had a few words with him. We know each other for a while, so I'm aware of all his problems. So I was ready for anything. I had a knife with me, but fortunately didn't have to use it.
Ron McLean checking in here on the par 4 16th hole, and more terrible news for Jose Maria Olazabal. It's been a tough day here in La Quinta, a surprising day for the Spaniard coming off the impressive showing at the Masters. We see him lying 7 here, now approaching his 8th shot in the, oh goodness. Olazabal, back to you, man.
Well, golf is a funny game, and it's all come down to this. One Ed Robertson of the Bare Naked Ladies attempting a 60-foot putt for the win. And can you say deja vu? A magnificent putt here on 18, and you can see the pandemonium. And no one is watching Olazabal's line yet again. And now Olazabal with a 4-foot putt with the odd scuff mark. And it's well short of the mark. And with that, it's all over. Ed Robertson of the Bare Naked Ladies is the first champion of the Jose Maria Olazabal versus the World Tournament. On behalf of Steve Melnick, Jim Nance, and Ron McLean, I'm Vin Scully saying so long from La Quinta, California.
For the first time ever, broadcasting live from the DKI studio, 234 King Street East, out of the Pacific Junction Hotel, as Mike Richards is going to now announce for the first time, a national title sponsor. That is our good friends at DKI. Paul Burns, who is the marketing commandant. Is that dictator?
That works for me.
Yeah, you like that?
I like that.
Well, we're thrilled to have a sponsor from a giant in the industry. Really, when people are like DKI, and this is part of the reason we're excited about doing this. They're the largest disaster restoration contracting organization in North America. So this is a massive compliment for rawmike.richards.com, considering this has been a year where, regardless of what sport we've talked about or anything else seemingly right now on the planet, we've had to deal with these massive instances where I'm sure, even going back to when we were in Calgary with Ryan Thowell, who also, by the way, is part of the membership of DKI, and we were talking about Kelowna. Kelowna was what was happening at that time. So you've had Kelowna in this country, Windsor, Waterton in Alberta. There was another set of fires, and of course, not to mention Houston, the devastation down there, and of course Fort Mac, the fires. So, Paul, thanks very much for joining us here on rawmikerichard.com, and thanks for your money.
Oh well, you're welcome. Don't spend it all in one place.
Yeah,
well, we're very excited to be a sponsor of the Raw Mike Richards Show. I should spit it out.
That's okay. It's before 11. No one's expecting a lot, just so you know.
But anyways, we're very happy to be a part of this, and thank you very much for putting it all together.
Well, as I said, in this world right now, man, this has to be the last 2 years have been incredibly busy. In fact, when I'd go to reach out to you or our good friend Stu Ball, who of course has been a big part of this, and you guys have been running all over the place because I guess the fact of the matter is, if DKI is showing up to a degree, something has gone wrong. Something has been destroyed. There are people who are looking for not only houses to be rebuilt, but all the businesses. We're good friends with the Douglas family and Matt and Kyle, of course, who we've known for a long time. And people are saying, "I've seen the truck." We see the trucks. What exactly is it that DKI does? Why don't you explain exactly what it is?
Well, we are, as you said, the largest restoration contractor network in North America. We have 80 locations in Canada from coast to coast. Essentially, if you have a fire, flood, wind damage, any kind of eventuality in your home or business that requires an emergency cleanup, you would call DKI. One of our locations would respond, and we would get you back on your feet, get you back in your house, get your business up and running. So a large part of what we do is insurance work for large insurers across the country, but we also have a lot of commercial clients, private clients that we do work for. So essentially, if your kid burns down your kitchen, we'll come and get it back up and running.
But something like the fire. So as Dave mentioned, Fort Mac, that must have been a massive job you'd have to do there.
So something like Fort Mac, because we have this huge reach in North America, we would respond. We would band together. We would get our members from across the country. We would put a response together. We would be in Fort Mac. We would mobilize. We would get to Fort Mac. We would stay there. We would get our boots on the ground. We did that in Calgary in 2013. We did that in Toronto in 2013.
That's right.
Yeah, we go right across North America. Wherever we needed, we have a response. We call it our CAT response. We can be anywhere within 24 hours in North America. So we get the trucks rolling. Once we understand that there's been an event like Fort Mac, as soon as they let us in, we're there. And we start taking care of business. So
as devastating as some of these natural disasters have been, and it almost seems that there's been just a phenomenal amount, especially in the last couple of years. There's got to be some pride on your side of it that you're in there to fix it. And when they see the logo on the truck, when they see the guys coming in from your side of things, obviously you're going into like a war zone as far as what has hit a business, an area, a city. There's got to be a lot of pride on your side that you're there to build it up, to put it back where it was, even better than it was when where they first called.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things is nobody knows who DKI is until we're there.
Yeah.
So, the contractor's going to come out. But we take a lot of pride in that. And in Fort Mac, for example, our member house burnt down. So their business stayed intact. Their house burned down as a part of that that event. So they lost everything. They had enough time to get a neighbor to get in and get the cat and a couple of family heirlooms, and everything else was gone. So not only do we professionally understand, personally we've been affected by these events as well. So there's a lot of empathy there. We take pride in being able to help people at their worst.
Exactly.
At their worst
Yeah,
times.
I mean that is I think on the emotional stand.
That's the human side of it.
Yeah,
right? It really is.
Yeah. So we're not splitting the atom, as they say, but it's the business that we're in. It's a lot of human interaction, and then you build relationships with your clients. You're in their house for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You're in their business. They call you in the middle of the night at the worst times, Christmas Eve, or they're going on holidays for 3 weeks the next day, and something happens. So we have a really good understanding of what's required. Like I say, there's got to be a lot of empathy for what we do, and because our businesses are independently owned across the DKI network, there's a lot of pride in their community. So they're not just part of DKI, they're part of their own community, and they own their businesses, and for the most part they live there. So
right, so community connection's massive. It's not just a national conglomerate coming in. It's usually, hey, here come the Douglas boys, that kind of thing, right?
A lot. So actually, we're celebrating our 25th year, DKI as a network across North America this year, but a lot of our
are we invited to the party? Is that wrong?
I thought this was the party.
I know this.
I walked into a bar and then but
I think we could probably arrange for something.
Well, I've got a little room on my expense account still.
Oh
so,
no, the price is right here. No, you want to be here.
Okay, yeah. But yes, you are invited to the party.
Also, yesterday, of course, in the NHL, just a recap as we connect with Doug Gilmour. Not really a busy Sunday because Sundays are for football. And we'll get to that in a second.
Maybe he made some picks.
Maybe
Doug's got some advice for us.
Hello.
Dougie Gilmour, it's Mike Richards calling.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you? You're just so you know, you're live. So if you're going to drop, I mean, it is the kind of show you can drop bombs. If there's something weird going on at home, you can do that. Hey, buddy, thanks so much for joining us here today. Hey, it's been too long, buddy. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Oh, I've been busy, buddy. Apologize.
No kidding. No.
All over the map right now. So.
Well, this book thing's got you pretty busy. I know people are pretty excited about it. I know you were out in sort of the Oshawa, Ajax, Durham area doing book signings. And I'd have to think for yourself, I mean, if someone's going to be able to write a book, it's going to be you. But I'm just curious, did you have any of the boys calling you up and saying, so what are you putting in that book?
No. You know what? First and foremost, there's a lot of fun stories that I've had with different teammates, and it's for me doing the book, guys. It was more important for my parents. I for the last 12 years I said no, and for the past year and a half, I decided yes when I lost my dad, and then Mom diagnosed dementia, and so it was just time for saying thank you to them, and that's why I did it.
So when you look at this book too, I mean, and again, you just mentioned the relationship with your parents. Was it hard? Was it difficult? Did you have to sort of decipher, the things that you truly wanted out there, as opposed to, like a lot of, let's be honest, Doug, a lot of guys go out there and after a certain period of time, they just kind of don't give a shit. They're just going to write whatever they want. I know you're not that type of guy, but did you have to go through a lot of things in your mind, what you did and what you did not want in that book?
Yeah, we kind of had a strategy when we picked Dan to do the book, Robson. Obviously he did Pat Quint and Clint Malarchuk and stuff, and it was going to be more about growing up in Kingston, and obviously through my career was pretty easy with 7 teams and then just some other things. So the reminiscing side, with whether it's siblings telling some stories or it's teammates or friends, it was a lot of fun. I kind of joke about it. It's a year and a half of my life I'll never get back, but it was at the end of it, guys. It really was. I think there's so much more we had in there too that we kind of had to cut back. So stupid things that I did, and it was, like I said, it was fun, and it's over, and now I'm just doing the tour, and it's been very overwhelming and very respectful for people saying they really enjoyed the book. So
That's all I got.
Doug, it's tremendous. It's David Bastel here. Good morning. I just wanted to go through a couple things in the book, and the first one is kind of a funny story, and Richards definitely likes this one too. It's the first time you met with Pat Burns. So Pat Burns comes over from the Montreal Canadiens. He's known as a tough guy type cop head coach, and the two of you decide to go out for drinks, but you go to Fillmore's. I started laughing when I heard about that. What went through that, and maybe take us through the story where people started recognizing the two of you, and you thought, okay, we got to get the hell out of here. The people are going to start reading about this one.
It rhymed with Gilmore. It rhymed with Gilmore, so that's why I thought we went there. But yeah, he just said, I'm in town, and it's just the day after his signing, and he goes, I want to meet with all the players, and so let me know where you are. And I said, well, I'm living downtown, and I'll come over to the rink and see you. Jumped in a cab, and that's where he took me. I started laughing, and about 45 minutes into it, we're probably on our third, fourth beer, and maybe more. We just people started to recognize us and started coming over, and then we got out of there, and just went back to I believe we went to PM Toronto's, and just sat there for probably about 4 hours, and just reminiscing, but him more or less telling me what I had to do and what his expectations were as well.
So, Doug, that also leads to the question, because you've had a whole bunch of coaches from junior on up. And if you're taking a look at the guys who are the most, I guess, influential, the guys who had the most sway on the kind of not only player you are, Doug, but I'd probably say the kind of guy that you are. Because, look, a lot of people always mention it's not just Doug Gilmour on the ice. Everyone loves Dougie. There's a Y on the end of your name. So when you look at those two things and how it turned out, where do those influences come from? Who was the most influential on you?
Well, I think, junior is just a different breed, right? We had coaches kind of come in and out, and I had Jocelyn Guverman, I had Bob Kilger. They were all great. Getting to the NHL was Jacques Demers. He's the one that gave me the opportunity. We had probably 5 returning centers that year, and he wanted to keep me. And he just said, can you check? And I said, well, I'll do whatever it takes to stay here. And, Jacques was, to this day, just big smiles when I talk to him, and just a great guy. So, as far as kind of moving on, and then Terry Crisp, and Crispy, kind of yeller and screamer kind of guy, but great personality. And then obviously Pat Burns, but another coach too, like Jacques Lemaire, was probably the most intelligent coach that I had. That yes, we trapped. Yes, we did it that way. We would have probably 15 to 20 scoring chances a game. We didn't score a lot, but we didn't break a sweat either. It was we just sat there, Red Rover, and then all of a sudden you had young guys like Billy Gearin and Brian Rolston, and we'd just wait for the puck to come to us, and then we're gone. So every coach was different. I can honestly say every one of them had an impact in my career in some ways. And but Burnsy was probably, for me, kind of like a father figure, a friend figure, and kind of a motivation guy, an intimidator. So he put it all together for me.
Yeah, he certainly did. We're in conversation with Doug Gilmour. The name of his book is called Killer, My Life in Hockey. 6 years ago this weekend, Doug, you're inducted into the Hall of Fame. You were part of the class of 2011. This year, you got to be feeling extra special considering it's an old teammate of yours, Dave Andreychuk, going into the same Hall of Fame. What did Andreychuk and you have on the ice outside of the magic we saw? It was the two of you together as Toronto Maple Leafs was probably the best part of the 90s for a lot of people listening us to a game. And why did you guys click so well?
Yeah, I played against Dave and obviously Junior, and I think for a guy like Dave Andreychuk, probably you don't know how good he is until he's on your team. He paid the price every night to stand in front of that net. The old school rules, Hudson Bay rules, that you're going to get cross-checked, you're going to get hammered all the time. he found a way to park his big body there. Not too often he would miss the net. Half the time he'd shoot at the goalie, and he was big enough as reach to get the rebound and put it back in behind him. So, yeah, he was Garth played with the Leafs for a little bit.
That's what I thought. Because you know the reason I was saying that was like, do you remember when the Leafs and I'm working at the Fan? It was me and Derringer, and we had to do the morning show down there, and we all went to Disney World in Florida, and Garth was in that group. And I remember, the kids would go to bed, everyone would go to bed, and then we'd sneak back out into the Disney pool with beers.
Yeah,
and drink in the pool. The lights would come on, and the Disney cops, would come out. Hey, what's going on there? Hey, no beers. And it was always Garth. He was always in the middle of it. I just whatever happened to him?
You know what, Garth's he's still out west. He's been in the bar business. Go figure. So he's done well for himself, though. I've seen him a couple times in the past probably 12 years, just at alumni games. And Garth's Garth. He's a great guy.
That was a great time. That was actually a fun team. I look back on it. Felix Potvin was, those days. That was pretty fun. Joe Bowen what was it he was putting on people's shoes? What was that? What was the gag that Joe used to do?
Who's that?
Joe Bowen. Remember Bonesy used to put stuff on guys' shoes at the dinner table, crawl under the table.
Oh, well, yeah, that was shoe check. That's something. As soon as you get to the NHL, we always had kind of a buffet pre-game meal, and somebody would be under there putting mayonnaise or ketchup or something on your shoes, and everybody taps the glasses, and then you got to look under the table. So no matter what, everybody was going to do it. Yeah, Bonesy probably got it done to him so many times he had to change it, start doing it to other people.
I bet. Now, aside from the book, Dougie, and again, it looks fantastic. It's HarperCollins, by the way. It's available everywhere you want to check it out, including Costco. Is that correct? It's also at Costco?
Yeah, it's at Costco, Walmart, and as well. Sorry.
The beer Killer 93, and then I tell people about it because the Kolsch style brew that's made out of Whitewater Brewing. Dougie, I'm serious. I mean, look, we know the guys that are a part of it, and there's a process and like everything that you do. But I got to tell you, that beer is fantastic. That's one of the better beers I've ever had.
Yeah, Mike. When it's obviously it's a microbrewery company, and we just didn't want it hoppy, and they came up with the Kolsch style for us, and it was phenomenal. Like it's just a light beer, and now we're getting it out all over the place. It took some time, obviously, as you know how it works with the wine business as well.
Yep.
It's coming, so that's the good news, and it should be in all the grocery stores and certain beer stores probably no later than it's at some places now, but no later than in January.
Well, all the best of luck with that, Doug, and as everything you do, you're certainly one of this city's favorite of all time. But I go across the country. I mean, it just I've seen how guys react to you. They turn into Ned Flanders. They just start screaming and stuff. And these are like Bay Street guys, and like, oh my God, Dougie! Ah! I'm like, holy shit, take it easy, guys. I mean, but that's look, you don't get that. If you play all those years, no matter the goals you get or the championships or the Hall of Fame, people don't react that way, Doug, unless somehow that's in you. And as we started this conversation, you talked about your parents. Well, obviously your parents did an excellent job, Doug, because to me you're one of my favorite guys, period. But I think the whole country feels that way.
Well, thanks, Mike. And obviously we've been friends for a long time, and my personality. Just parents always just respect people; they'll respect you back, and try to explain that to every kid that I see in junior to my own kids, and so we were blessed to play a game, and that I was fortunate, and all I can say is thank you to everybody that supported me.
Well, and hopefully they'll get out there, buy the book. It's just in time for Christmas, a great Christmas gift. And again, look out for Killer 93 because that is a fantastic beer. Hey, Dougie, best of luck. I know the schedule's real busy, but hopefully we'll hook up sometime soon. It'd be great to see you.
Sounds good. Sonia says hi here too.
Oh, great! Say, what do you say? It's Portuguese. I forget. Portuguese.
You got me.
It's just something. Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much, Dougie. I appreciate it.
The only Portuguese I know is Stupa.
I'm supposed to ask. Maybe Sonia knows who this is. I was asked by the Yard Dog. He said, "What is your favorite Portuguese restaurant in Hamilton?" And by the way, it rhymes with conquistador.
It is conquistador.
It is.
There you go.
Now, Sonia, is that yet one of the other relatives? Because it seems every time I bump into someone Portuguese, including I think Cristiano Ronaldo, you're related to these people.
We're somehow all related.
Well, it seems that way. Well, look, best to you and cute little Victoria. Is she in the movies yet? Because you got to get her on camera. She's unbelievable.
I know.
What a doll.
She wants that every day, so we have to wait till the summer.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Hopefully I see you before Christmas. If not, have a great Christmas. But I know I'd love to see you guys soon.
Sounds good. We'll make it happen, bud.
That is Doug Gilmore. There she is, and Sonia, his lovely wife.
Well, we played on the same night as that. We had our plan, and then those guys had to go spoil it by having their big historic night. But there was a lot of people at our show, and we were very cognizant of the fact that people are thinking about the Hip Show. Either they're taping it or they're wondering, they want to be where they are, and that's great. But we put them up on our screen, and they had just, it was just coincidental. We didn't know this, but they had just finished doing Bob Cajun. And then, so Gord's just walking around, and then we start playing Bob Cajun. He's just on our screens walking around, and it was a great release for our audience because they felt like, okay, they hadn't missed the whole thing. They hadn't missed maybe they're going to see it on tape release, but they hadn't missed the actual event. And so it was a big moment for all of us. I mean, we've been close to that band from the very beginning, and so it was necessary for us to acknowledge that big night.
Could you play a little bit of that for us? Is that possible? Because I know some of the people here in the audience, Jim Cuddy here with us on rawmikeRichards.com, and Bob Cajun, Tragically Hip.
When I left your house this morning, was a little after 9. Could have been the Willie Nelson. Well, it could have been the wine. When I left your house this morning, at a little after 9. That was in Bob Cajun, where we saw the constellations reveal themselves one star at a time.
More? No, that's fantastic. That is, wow. Are you kidding me?
That's a beautiful song.
It is.
That's a beautiful song. I always said to, well, not necessarily to Gord, but to his brother, I said, the timeline in that really gets me. He's going out at 9:15 in the morning, but he's seeing the constellations. And then as I learned the song, I realized, no, he's flashing around. He's flashing back. But I remember his brother go, I don't know, ask Gord.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.